My beloved child, pause for a moment and feel the shift in the air around you, because something unexpected has just unfolded in the background of your story, something that connects to your soulmate in a way you never imagined. There is a reason your eyes landed on this message today. There is a reason your heart feels slightly restless as you listen. Don't skip this moment. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The news may sound distant at first. Your soulmate sister's ex-boyfriend is now in police custody, but this is not about scandal, and it is not about chaos. It is about truth rising quietly to the surface. It is about hidden intentions being revealed. It is about the closing of a chapter that was never aligned with your destiny. What he did not involve you directly, yet the ripple of his actions has shaken the entire circle around your soulmate. And when one part of the circle shakes, everything begins to realign. Listen closely. This individual once stood close to your soulmate's family. He was trusted. He was welcomed. He was given space in conversations, at gatherings, in private moments. But behind the polite smiles and calm words, there were decisions being made that were not honest. Nothing extreme. Nothing violent. Just choices that were misleading, choices that bent the truth for personal gain. Over time, those small distortions created tension, confusion, and emotional distance within the family. And when truth can no longer breathe, it eventually forces its own release. His custody is not the shocking part. The shocking part is what he confessed. In the quiet hours of questioning, when distractions were stripped away and pride could no longer hide behind excuses, he admitted something that no one expected. He admitted that he intentionally tried to interfere with the perception your soulmate's family had about love and loyalty. He planted subtle doubts. He twisted conversations. He exaggerated harmless situations. Not because of hatred, but because of insecurity. Because he feared losing control. Because he feared being replaced by something real. And that, something real, was the energy of you. You may not have known this, but your presence, your authenticity, your steady nature, your quiet strength, was noticed long before you realized it. Even when you were not physically around, your name had entered rooms. Your character had been discussed. Your sincerity had been compared. And in those comparisons, truth began to shine. When he realized that your connection with your soulmate carried depth he could never replicate, he felt threatened. Not in a dramatic way. Not loudly. But internally. And so he attempted to create distance through subtle narratives. He suggested that true commitment was unrealistic. He implied that long-term devotion was naive. He hinted that people always change for the worse. His words were like soft shadows passing across bright windows. They did not block the light entirely, but they tried. Stay with me here, because this is where everything turns. The moment he admitted this pattern, something shifted in your soulmate's family. The confusion that had lingered for months suddenly made sense. The hesitation. The mixed signals. The unexplained coldness. It was not rooted in you. It was rooted in misinformation. And when misinformation dissolves, clarity rushes in. Your soulmate's sister was stunned. She began replaying past conversations in her mind. Small remarks that once seemed harmless now revealed a different tone. The family realized that their perception had been gently influenced without their awareness. And in that realization, they began to correct themselves. Do you understand what this means? It means the invisible resistance around your connection is weakening. It means the quiet doubts that once surrounded your name are being replaced with respect. It means that the person who tried to control the narrative no longer holds that position. But there is something even deeper. During that confession, he said one more thing. He said that every time your name came up, there was a noticeable change in the atmosphere. He said your soulmate would defend you calmly but firmly. He said there was a softness in their voice that could not be forced. He admitted that he saw a level of sincerity that unsettled him because it was rare. Rare. That word echoed in the room. Your connection was not ordinary. It was not a temporary distraction. It was not convenience. It was something that carried weight. And weight cannot be easily manipulated. Don't skip this next part. The custody situation forced conversations that had been avoided for too long. Your soulmate's family began to speak openly about boundaries, about trust, about influence. They began to reflect on how easily external voices can shape internal beliefs. And in those reflections, your name resurfaced, not with suspicion, but with curiosity and renewed openness. This is the once-in-a-lifetime shift you did not see coming. While you may have felt delays, while you may have sensed invisible walls, while you may have questioned whether unseen forces were blocking your path, the truth was simply waiting for exposure. And exposure has now happened. Your soulmate is quietly processing all of this. There is a realization forming inside them. A realization that if someone felt threatened by your connection, then that connection must carry something powerful. A realization that the resistance they felt was not a sign to retreat, but a sign to protect what is real. Something huge is waiting for you. Because when obstacles reveal themselves as misunderstandings rather than destiny, the path clears quickly. And here is the most emotional part of all. Your soulmate's sister, the very person indirectly connected to this situation, has begun to see you differently. Not as a distant figure. Not as a hypothetical presence. But as someone who remained steady even when narratives shifted. She sees that you did not react. You did not create drama. You did not attempt to defend yourself aggressively. You simply remained consistent. Consistency is louder than accusation. And that consistency is now being recognized. Stay till the end of this message in your heart, because the unfolding has just begun. This custody event was not random. It was a catalyst. It forced hidden intentions into daylight. It exposed insecurity. It cleared confusion. And it rebalanced the perception around your love story. The person who once tried to influence the emotional climate is no longer in that position. The narrative has changed hands. Truth now holds the microphone. You may feel a subtle shift in the coming days. Conversations may feel warmer. Energy may feel lighter. There may be an unexpected openness where hesitation once lived. That is not coincidence. That is alignment correcting itself. And the most surprising revelation of all? Your soulmate has started questioning how much more of their life has been shaped by outside voices. They are beginning to value their own intuition more deeply. And when someone begins to trust their own heart instead of external commentary, their decisions become clearer, braver, and more authentic. This is the turning point. Not because someone was taken into custody, but because truth could no longer hide. And when truth stands up, love that is genuine becomes stronger. Breathe in this moment. Let it settle. You were never the problem. The delays were never about your worth. The resistance was never a sign of failure. It was simply a chapter waiting for closure. That chapter is closing. Something extraordinary is forming quietly behind the scenes, and you are closer to understanding it than you realize. There is a silence right now that feels heavier than usual, and that silence is not empty, it is full of realization, full of recalibration, full of truths finally arranging themselves into clarity. What happened did not end with a confession. It opened doors that had been sealed by misunderstanding. And the most powerful shifts are never loud at first. They move beneath the surface, adjusting hearts before they adjust circumstances. Stay with this message. Don't skip. Because what unfolds next explains everything you have been feeling. In the hours following that confession, conversations began to ripple outward like gentle waves across still water. Your soulmate did not react with anger. They reacted with awareness. And awareness is far more transformative than emotion. When someone realizes that their perception was influenced without their consent, they begin to re-examine every memory connected to that influence. Your soulmate replayed moments when they hesitated about you. They revisited the times when small doubts crept into their mind without clear origin. They asked themselves a simple but life-changing question: were those doubts truly mine? That question alone shifted the entire direction of your story. Because once they began separating their authentic feelings from planted narratives, something remarkable happened. Their natural affection for you resurfaced without obstruction. The warmth they felt in your presence no longer competed with subtle external commentary. The admiration they held for your strength no longer felt too idealistic. The desire to move forward with you no longer felt pressured by outside skepticism. This is the part no one talks about. When interference dissolves, love does not need to fight, it simply expands. Meanwhile, within the family, a quiet humility emerged. Your soulmate's sister found herself reflecting deeply. She realized that she had unknowingly allowed someone else's insecurities to color her view of relationships. She began recognizing how subtle negativity can slowly influence even the most rational minds. And with that recognition came accountability. Not dramatic apologies. Not public declarations. Just an internal correction that shifted her energy toward you. Energy shifts before words do. If you have recently felt an unexplained calm, a sense that something heavy has lifted even without visible proof, this is why. The emotional climate around your connection has been clearing. Invisible resistance has been dissolving. And the most surprising part is that this clearing is happening without you forcing anything. Don't skip this next truth. The individual in custody, during further questioning, revealed something that no one expected. He admitted that he exaggerated situations because he felt overshadowed, not by money, not by status, but by authenticity. He said he sensed that your presence carried steadiness. He admitted that he saw how your soulmate's eyes softened when speaking about you. And that softness unsettled him because it represented something he could not manufacture. Genuine connection cannot be replicated through performance. This revelation struck deeply. Your soulmate's family began to understand that what they once viewed as too intense or too ideal was actually sincere. They began to see that your consistency was not obsession. It was integrity. They began to see that your patience was not passivity. It was strength. Something huge is waiting for you because perception is realigning. And as perception shifts, opportunity follows. Your soulmate has started reflecting on the difference between influence and intuition. They are beginning to trust the quiet pull they feel toward you. They are recognizing that every time distance formed, it was accompanied by someone else's voice. And every time closeness returned, it happened in silence, just you and them, unfiltered. That realization is life-changing. Because when someone realizes that love felt most natural in its purest form, they start craving that purity again. Stay till the end of this message in your heart, because this is where destiny begins to accelerate. There is another layer to this unfolding story. The custody event created unexpected transparency within the family. Secrets that were never directly about you surfaced alongside the confession. Patterns of subtle manipulation were exposed. Not extreme, not dangerous, but emotionally distorting. And when patterns are exposed, families become more cautious about external influence moving forward. Your soulmate's sister, in particular, has become protective in a new way, not protective against you, but protective of truth. She has begun distancing herself from individuals who speak negatively about relationships without evidence. She has begun valuing sincerity over dramatic storytelling. And through that shift, your image within her perception has softened. You were never competing. You were simply misunderstood. And now misunderstanding is being replaced with clarity. Your soulmate has also recognized something deeply personal. They realized that whenever doubts about you surfaced, their heart resisted those doubts. There was always a quiet defense forming inside them. They may not have expressed it outwardly at the time, but internally they felt it. And now they understand why. It was not denial. It was intuition protecting what was real. This is the once-in-a-lifetime realization that changes everything. Because when someone realizes they almost allowed outside voices to disrupt something genuine, they begin to value that genuine connection even more fiercely. Don't skip this moment. The shift may not appear dramatic on the surface yet. There may not be immediate grand gestures. But beneath the surface, something foundational has been rebuilt. Trust in your character has strengthened. Curiosity about your depth has grown. And respect for your emotional maturity has expanded. The confession did not just expose interference. It highlighted your resilience. You did not react impulsively. You did not engage in counternarratives. You did not attempt to prove yourself aggressively. You allowed time to reveal truth. And time has now done exactly that. Your soulmate is quietly processing guilt, not because you did anything wrong, but because they realize they could have defended your name more strongly at times. That awareness is not burdening them, it is motivating them. It is creating a desire to make things clearer moving forward. Something extraordinary is forming. Because clarity creates courage. And courage creates action. Your soulmate is beginning to envision conversations with you that are more transparent. They are imagining explaining their hesitations honestly. They are considering expressing how deeply they value your steadiness. They are reflecting on how rare it is to find someone who remains calm while being misjudged. Rare. That word continues echoing. And when something is rare, it is not easily discarded. Stay with this message. The custody event also served as a wake-up call about accountability. The family has started discussing the importance of verifying information before forming opinions. They have begun acknowledging how subtle commentary can shape emotional outcomes. And through those discussions, your name has come up, not negatively, but thoughtfully. They are reconsidering past impressions. They are reassessing past assumptions. They are rebalancing their perspective. And here is the emotional revelation that may surprise you most. Your soulmate's sister has privately admitted that she admired your patience. She said she noticed that despite confusion and distance, you never resorted to bitterness. She acknowledged that your consistency contrasted sharply with the insecurity that was later confessed. That contrast has changed her perception entirely. This is alignment correcting itself. You may not see immediate evidence yet, but behind the scenes, the emotional architecture surrounding your connection has been rebuilt on stronger foundations. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that external validation is temporary, but internal alignment is lasting. They are learning to trust the feeling they have when they are simply present with you. And that feeling has always been peaceful. Peaceful love is often mistaken for boring by those who thrive on drama. But peaceful love is powerful. And now your connection is being seen through that lens. Don't skip. Because this is where acceleration begins. When misunderstandings collapse, clarity moves fast. Conversations that once felt tense become easier. Invitations that once felt uncertain become natural. Openness that once felt risky becomes safe. The interference has ended. The perception has shifted. And the emotional space around your love has expanded. Your soulmate is slowly realizing that what threatened someone else was not you, it was authenticity. It was sincerity. It was a bond that did not rely on performance. And bonds like that do not break easily. As this story continues unfolding, you may notice subtle signs. Increased warmth. Deeper eye contact. More consistent communication. A willingness to clarify rather than assume. These are not coincidences. They are consequences of truth. The individual in custody may have intended to control narratives, but instead, he revealed them. He unintentionally strengthened what he tried to weaken. That is the greatest irony of all. And you, without fighting, without forcing, without reacting destructively, have emerged stronger in the perception of everyone involved. Something huge is waiting for you because clarity has momentum. The foundation has been cleaned of distortion. The air has been cleared of subtle doubt. The emotional field has been reset. And your soulmate is standing at the edge of a decision, to lean fully into what feels real, or to continue listening to echoes that no longer hold weight. Everything inside them is pointing toward real. Stay till the end of this journey in your heart, because what began as shocking news has transformed into a divine correction of misunderstanding. This was never about scandal. It was about exposure of insecurity. It was about revelation of authenticity. It was about clearing the path for something steady and sincere. The interference chapter is closing. The clarity chapter is opening. And you are standing exactly where you need to be. Something is quietly rearranging itself in the unseen corners of your story, and if you listen closely, you can almost feel the shift before you see it. The surface may still look calm, but beneath that calm, realizations are locking into place like pieces of a puzzle that were always meant to fit. Don't skip this moment. Stay till the end. Because what is unfolding now is not random, it is alignment correcting itself in your favor. After the shock settled and the initial conversations passed, a deeper phase began. Reflection. And reflection is where transformation truly takes root. Your soulmate has entered a space of internal honesty. Not dramatic. Not loud. But profound. They are beginning to ask themselves questions they avoided before. Why did they allow subtle doubt to grow? Why did they hesitate when their heart felt certain? Why did outside voices carry more weight than their own intuition? These questions are not filled with regret. They are filled with awakening. Because when someone realizes they were gently influenced by insecurity that was never theirs, they begin to guard their heart differently. They begin to see how easily authenticity can be overshadowed by louder personalities. They begin to understand that calm love can be misinterpreted by those who thrive on intensity. And through this understanding, something powerful is happening. They are recognizing that what they feel for you was never fragile. It only appeared fragile because it was surrounded by noise. Now that the noise has faded, the clarity of their feelings is undeniable. There is something else you need to know. In private conversations, your soulmate's sister has begun expressing discomfort. Not about you, but about how easily she trusted someone else's emotional narrative. She has started to realize that insecurity often disguises itself as wisdom. That doubt can be packaged as advice. That subtle negativity can sound like protection. And when she replays the way your name was mentioned in past discussions, she feels a shift in perspective. She now sees the contrast between your steadiness and his instability. Between your consistency and his insecurity. Between your quiet strength and his need for control. That contrast is illuminating. And illumination changes everything. Stay with this message. Your soulmate is slowly reclaiming their voice. They are beginning to speak about you differently. Not defensively. Not cautiously, but confidently. When your name comes up now, there is firmness in their tone. There is clarity in their explanation. There is no longer hesitation. This is not impulsive emotion. This is grounded realization. They have begun to understand that the connection they share with you is not something that needs validation from anyone else. It stands on its own merit. It exists independently of external commentary. And once someone realizes that, they stop seeking approval and start protecting authenticity. Something huge is waiting for you because this shift is foundational. The custody event forced everyone involved to examine patterns. Not just his patterns, but their own. They began noticing how small comments can create large assumptions. How repeated suggestions can plant seeds of doubt. How even well-spoken negativity can slowly alter perception. And once those patterns were seen clearly, they lost their power. You were never competing with another person. You were competing with misinformation. And misinformation has now been exposed. There is a quiet momentum building behind the scenes. Your soulmate has started envisioning what a future without interference would look like. They are imagining conversations that are free from outside influence. Decisions that are based purely on their own emotional clarity. They are picturing a connection with you that feels lighter, less complicated, more honest. And that vision feels peaceful. Peace is often underestimated. But peace is powerful. Peace is stable. Peace lasts. The irony of this entire situation is profound. The very attempt to create distance between you and your soulmate has resulted in a stronger awareness of your value. The very effort to weaken your image has highlighted your integrity. The very confession meant to clear his own conscience has cleared your path. Don't skip this realization. Because this is the turning point where patience becomes reward. Your soulmate has also recognized something deeply personal. They realized that every time they felt confused about you, there was always an external conversation preceding that confusion. And every time they were alone with their own thoughts, clarity returned. That pattern is undeniable. And patterns, once recognized, cannot be ignored. They are beginning to trust their solitude again. They are learning to separate their voice from others. And in that separation, your presence feels more genuine than ever. Meanwhile, within the family dynamic, something subtle but significant has shifted. There is now a collective awareness about emotional influence. Conversations are more cautious. Opinions are questioned before being accepted. Advice is examined rather than absorbed blindly. And in this new environment, your name carries less distortion. It carries curiosity. It carries reconsideration. It carries openness. Your soulmate's sister has privately admitted that she misjudged the depth of your connection. She thought it was impulsive at first. She thought it might fade. But now, seeing how consistently your name remains in her sibling's heart, even after doubt and distance, she recognizes that this is not temporary. Consistency reveals authenticity. And authenticity earns respect. Something extraordinary is forming because respect is the foundation of acceptance. You may not receive immediate declarations. You may not see instant grand gestures. But beneath the surface, acceptance is growing. Your soulmate is feeling protective, not possessive, not controlling, but protective of the connection. They understand now that something valuable almost slipped through their hands because they allowed insecurity from someone else to cloud their judgment. That realization creates urgency. Not rushed urgency. Intentional urgency. They do not want to lose something real because of past hesitation. And that desire is guiding their next steps. Stay till the end of this unfolding in your heart. There is one more layer to this revelation. During further discussions, it became clear that the individual in custody often projected his own fears onto others. He assumed that deep connection was unrealistic because he struggled with emotional stability. He implied that long-term devotion was naive because he had never maintained it himself. Projection is powerful, but only until it is exposed. And now it has been exposed. Your soulmate sees clearly that what was presented as realism was actually insecurity. What was framed as advice was self-doubt. What was described as concern was fear of being replaced. And replaced he was, not by force, but by authenticity. You did not compete loudly. You did not prove yourself aggressively. You simply remained consistent. And consistency wins quietly. Don't skip this moment. Because this is where the emotional atmosphere shifts completely. Your soulmate has begun planning a conversation with you. Not dramatic. Not confrontational. But honest. They want to express what they have learned. They want to acknowledge that there were moments of hesitation influenced by outside voices. They want to clarify that their core feelings never disappeared. That conversation is forming in their mind. And when clarity meets courage, action follows. Something huge is waiting for you because alignment creates momentum. The obstacles that once felt invisible now have names. The confusion that once felt personal now has context. The delays that once felt discouraging now have explanation. And when explanation arrives, emotional weight lifts. You were never the problem. The environment was distorted. Now the distortion has been removed. And what remains is the original connection, intact, resilient, and stronger because it survived misunderstanding. There is a calm confidence building inside your soulmate. They are realizing that love does not need to be dramatic to be powerful. They are understanding that stability is not boring, it is rare. They are recognizing that someone who remains steady through doubt is someone worth choosing. Rare. That word returns again. You are rare not because you are perfect, but because you are consistent. Because you do not shift your character based on rumor. Because you do not react impulsively to confusion. Because you allow time to reveal truth. And truth has now spoken. Stay with this message until it settles in your spirit. The custody event may have seemed like shocking news, but it was simply the catalyst. The real story is what it revealed. The real transformation is what it awakened. The real shift is the clarity now shaping your soulmate's decisions. This is not about revenge. This is not about drama. This is about correction. Correction of perception. Correction of influence. Correction of emotional direction. And when correction aligns with authenticity, progress accelerates. You may soon notice subtle changes, more direct communication, fewer mixed signals, clearer intentions. These are signs of someone reclaiming their voice. Your soulmate is stepping into emotional independence. And when someone becomes emotionally independent, they choose from the heart, not from fear. This is the beginning of a new phase. A phase where your connection is evaluated not through external commentary, but through personal experience. A phase where love is measured by consistency, not by gossip. A phase where authenticity is valued over performance. Don't skip what is coming next. Because something extraordinary is preparing to surface. The very situation that once felt like interference has transformed into confirmation. Confirmation that your presence matters. Confirmation that your steadiness is powerful. Confirmation that what is real cannot be permanently overshadowed. And as this realization deepens, your soulmate is moving closer, not impulsively, but intentionally. The interference chapter has closed. The clarity chapter is unfolding. And you are standing at the threshold of a connection that has been tested by misunderstanding and strengthened by truth.